Hello and welcome to the third week of our Teacher Academy Screen Reader Savvy class. This week we're going to focus on NVDA, which is Non-Visual Desktop Access. Hopefully you've already obtained your free copy by going to the website nvaccess.org and downloaded your free copy from there. So let's get started. Okay. What's interesting about NVDA is, unlike JAWS, the interface automatically runs from the system tray, and the system tray is located in the lower right-hand portion of your screen. For example, if you were to access that using Windows keyboard commands, you would do a Windows key plus the letter B as in boy to access the system tray. If you want to access the NVDA menu, however, you would do that by using an insert with the letter N. And just so you know, we're going to refer to the NVDA key as the insert key, but it can also be the caps lock key and some other keys that are available in the settings. This on the left is the menu that comes up when you do an insert with the letter N, and it's displayed exactly like this. Menus are navigated with arrow keys, or you can use what's called the first letter navigation. If you can visually tell on this screenshot, the options in the interface are Preferences, Tools, Help, Configuration Profiles, Revert to Saved Configuration, Reset Configuration to Factory Defaults, Save Configuration, Donate, or Exit. You can navigate to any one of these by using the physically underlined letter. So if you can tell P in Preferences is underlined, instead of using that up and down arrow, you can use that letter to navigate the area. Most settings in NVDA need to be adjusted in the Settings Center, and to get there, there's a couple of different ways. You can open the NVDA interface with the Insert plus N, and then press P or navigate to P using your arrow keys. And the Preferences menu will open, and you want to select Settings, and that will take you to the Settings Center. There is another way also to do this. You can open the General Settings using the shortcut key, which is NVDA or Insert plus Control plus the letter G for General Settings. Navigate the options using the Tab key and uncheck and check the checkboxes using your space. Let's take a look at this dialog box really quickly. The dialog box is set up so that on the left is a list of the various setting areas. The first one is General. The General settings can then be navigated and changed by using your Tab key and your spacebar to check and uncheck boxes. This General Settings area, the options are Language, which we probably are going to want to leave alone. The first checkbox is called Save Configuration on Exit, and you would check that box when you turned NVDA off or deactivated it, to save things like the verbosity, how fast it speaks, any sort of changes you have made to that sort of thing. The second checkbox is Show Exit Options when exiting NVDA. That is checked here. If it is not checked when you exit NVDA, which you can do with a shortcut called NVDA and the Q for quit, so insert plus Q, it will show you, if this box is checked, it will show you options. Do you want to exit NVDA? And normally, if you're using that, you want to exit NVDA. So often people uncheck this second checkbox. The third checkbox is Play sounds when starting or exiting NVDA. And you might notice that's checked by default. You can hear that sort of ascending or descending tone. The next one is Automatically Start NVDA after I log into Windows. This is very helpful if you are somebody who just wants everything just to be ready to go when you log in. The next checkbox is checked. It says Use NVDA in the Windows logon screen. It does require administrative privileges. We have it checked here on and the school's computers because we want our students and staff to be able to access the login screen using speech feedback so that they can know where they are or hear if there's an error. The next checkbox is automatically check for updates. You can certainly check that. It'll let you know if you're using the latest version of NVDA. Actually, it will let you know if you are not, and it will give you the option to upgrade. If you do not have network privileges and you feel that you are going to have a hardship every time it'll tell you that you're not running the most recent version, but yet you're running on a network and you cannot update it, this checkbox can be unchecked so that you're not constantly being nagged because it can be quite annoying. The last checkbox is notify for pending updates on startup, and that's sort of the same that deal. When you start it up, it'll always look. This next area of the settings center is the speech settings. You can automatically navigate here by using the NVDA key plus Control plus V. Speech and verbosity settings include setting up and using the synthesizer, adjusting the speaking rate, and the amount of punctuation that NVDA reads. Again, just like the previous option, you would use your tab keys to navigate the box and the space to check or uncheck boxes. And in this case, there's actually some sliders, so you could use your arrow keys to adjust those. The first option up here in the settings area is synthesizer. Typically, if you're running Windows 10, the usual synthesizer is to use the Microsoft speech synthesizer that your computer comes with. If you happen to have purchased other voices, those will show up in this area. If you tab a second time, you will hear the change button, and if you can change that. The next area is the voice. I have Microsoft David set up here. There are other options, of course. Remember, the difference between the synthesizer and the voice is that the synthesizer is what speaks to the screen reader, and the voice is what actually comes, the form that takes. So the next option is rate. You would use your slider up and down arrows or right and left arrows to adjust that. The same with the next one, which is pitch, and the following one, which is volume. The next checkbox is interesting to automatically switch language when supported. I usually leave that checked because if for some reason you're reading something and they have like a French phrase in there, it'll pronounce it correctly rather than trying to pronounce it as though it was reading English. So that's what that is. The second checkbox is really the same. I don't know why that's not checked, to be honest with you. I really don't. The following section is the punctuation or symbol level. Usually you set it to, there's always the option of all, some, most, or none. If you are a proofreader, as we've talked about with JAWS, and you are working on proofing something, you're going to want to set that to all. If you are not a proofreader and you're just kind of wanting to get through your day-to-day stuff, then definitely just set it to either some or most. The next checkbox is trust voice's language when processing characters or symbols. Pretty self-explanatory, just kind of saying, just trust the voice language that's already selected further up. The next one is capital pitch change percentage. You know how the pitch goes up a little bit when you're typing or reading character by character and come around across a capital. You can adjust how much of a percentage the pitch jumps. The next option, or the next two, I guess, checkboxes are also related to capitalization. The first checkbox down there says say cap before capitals. That's for people who maybe have a hearing issue and they would rather hear it announced that way. And the second option is beep for capitals. Same idea. If you have like a hearing loss and you can't hear that pitch change and you are not using a Braille display. The NVDA Braille settings allow the user to add a variety of displays. To get to the Braille settings at any time, you would press the Insert plus Control plus A. Navigating the options, again, you would use the tab and the checkbox to uncheck and checkbox displays here. So what I have here is I've got the Braille display dialog screenshotted here in the background, and in the foreground here, it's kind of hard to see if you're not looking for it, is a select a Braille display. It displays here, the Braille display says it's no display, and you would have to choose the port. There are other options in the dialog box that are blocked by this pop-up, but basically you can adjust your output table and your input table to be Unified English Braille. You can determine whether you want to have the .8 cursor there blinking, things like that. Your message timeout, which means how long your message sits on your display before it goes away. So if you have like a pop-up on your screen, it'll pop up on your Braille display, and how long it'll stay there before it disappears. So if you're a slower reader, you might want to set it for a larger increment, and if you are a quick reader, then set it for a lower one. NVDA also has the keyboard commands, or the keyboard configuration. You can access this at any time by using Insert Control plus K. This is where you adjust the typing echo and some other various options in here. The modifier key, for example, and the desk and the keyboard layout. Those are all important. So let's take a look at this dialog box. Right now we have the keyboard layout as desktop because that's what is being used currently. The next checkbox is use caps lock as an NVDA modifier key, and that is checked because it's helpful to have that checkbox checked, especially if you're using a laptop, because it's hard to find out where that insert is sometimes. The same is true for using the numpad insert as a modifier key or the extended insert as a modifier key. So all of those are checked in this configuration, and I kind of recommend that because depending on the key combination you're using, one of those might be easier to reach than the other, and sometimes your hands are really stretching if you only have one option there. The next checkbox is speak to type characters. To turn that on and off, you're going to use the insert 2. It's a toggle on and off. It's not a cycle through. Insert 3 will turn on and off speak typed words. Insert 4, by the way, will turn on and off speak typed commands. So it'll echo the key command you put in. For some reason, that's not really an option here. The next checkbox is speech interrupt for the enter key. That's checked. The next box is allow skim reading and say all. I have to admit that I'm not exactly sure what that does, but I'm sure that you can find out. This is the next one is quite useful. Beep if you're typing lowercase letters when the caps lock is on. It lets you know, hey, your caps lock is on. Oh, there's the speak command keys. Okay, that's the insert 4. It's down further than I thought it was. That's my bad. But you can turn that on and off. I have it turned off because I don't need to hear that, but students that are practicing or maybe even learning to type, that might actually be a benefit to have that turned on. There's the next checkbox, which is play sound for spelling errors while typing. That's nice. It gives you that audio cue. And that is on by default, which is also nice. Handle keys from other applications, again, not entirely sure, but we'll just leave that. That's pretty much it for the settings for anything that really that really I wanted to go through with you that matters overly much. The next thing I want to look at is the Tools menu. The Tools menu allows to access logs and speech viewer and manage the add-ons that are found on the NVDA website and create a USB copy of NVDA that can be inserted into pretty much any PC and make it talk. That is a very useful feature. When in doubt, use the Help menu. It's there for a reason. This area contains a user guide, commands list, notes on the latest release of NVDA, as well as some other things. You can also get input help by pressing Insert and the number 1. While this is on, if you press a key combination, NVDA will repeat the key combination you just entered and describe what it does without actually executing the command. Just as a note, to let you know that the command quick reference opens up a web page. It does not open up a dialog box within NVDA. And I think on that part, their part, that's an effort to make sure you have access to correct lists that goes with the version of NVDA you're running. By the way, another one that I don't have noted here is this welcome dialog in the help menu. The welcome dialog is the dialog that comes up when you start NVDA by default, and it says welcome to NVDA, and it has those 3 check boxes. But that welcome dialog box is not always necessarily something that everybody wants every time they start. So this is where you would turn that off. Also in the help menu on the very bottom is the about. That will tell you what version of NVDA you are running, in case you need to know that. We talked in JAWS about the pronunciation dictionary, so we're going to talk about it here in NVDA as well. You would get to that in the menus by doing an NVDA keep the letter N, and then P for preferences, and then D for speech dictionaries. Once you've entered the pronunciation dictionary, there are some different commands you might want to know. The first one is Alt-D. This shows you the dictionary entries list. Alt-A allows you to add an entry. Alt-R allows you to remove an entry. And Alt-E allows you to edit it. We talked about the importance of the punctuation or the pronunciation dictionary, because some people dislike hearing a screen reader pronounce things incorrectly and need to make it change. The add a word dictionary is interesting. So I'm using WCBVI as an option. So there are different sections to the add entry dialog. You would navigate that with a tab like you do everything else. The pattern is what appears on the screen, what it actually is. So remember in JAWS we used Hofstadter, and that would be like how you actually see it. In this example we're using WCBVI because whenever I see WCBVI in reading NVDA, it says WCBVI. And sometimes that can be a little bit off-putting because it just sounds weird. So I decided to put in the replacement, which you would tab down to, and I put W space C space, spaces between each of the letters, and that's how it'll say it. You can put a comment in there, such as a way to classify why the correction was needed, like, hey, it's an abbreviation and you don't want it to say it. You can also, the next checkbox is whether it's case sensitive. In other words, like if I see WCBVI in all small letters, will it replace it with, will it replace WCBVI, see I can't even say it, with WCBVI? It depends on whether it's capitalized or not. I don't want it to be case sensitive, so in case I see it in small letters somewhere, it doesn't do that. There are times you might want to change that, but this is not one of them. The next section is type. It's usually where you see it. If you're probably going to want to do anywhere. If it's a common letter combination or root that falls within a word, such as, dis, D-I-S, you're not going to want the word D-I-S pronounced differently if you find it within a word or where you want to see it on its own, if that makes any sense. It might not, and for that I apologize. The key points to remember about the pronunciation dictionary: save the dictionary before you exit it by navigating and activating the OK button. Until you've exited the dictionary dialog boxes, the change will not be implemented. So if you are alt-tabbing around and you're trying to see how it sounds, it's not going to work until you have actually exited the dictionary dialog boxes. There are 3 dictionary types: the default, in which all rules in the dictionary apply in all contexts; the voice, which the rules in the dictionary only affect the one voice in the synthesizer that's being used; or the third one is temporary, which means that the rules will only apply until NVDA restarts. I really don't know why you would do that, but there must be a reason or it wouldn't be there. Creating a portable copy of NVDA is really super important because you can take it places and use it across contexts. So to access that, you would go to the Tools menu by doing NVDA plus N, navigate down to Tools, and then navigate down to Create a Portable Copy. That's not the part that's highlighted on the screenshot, but just so you know, because I think I was having a difficulty capturing that part, so that's why. So it's navigate down here where the manual highlighting is, create a portable copy. And when you do that, you're going to get this dialog box, and it'll say, to create a portable copy, please select the path. So what you need to do is you need to press browse, and you need to select that external the external USB that you have inserted. There isn't really a specific recommended size, but I wouldn't go any smaller than 4 gigs if you can. So you would just browse within your computer to open that external drive. And once you've picked that, you're going to go to the next dialog box, which you can check or uncheck. It's copy user configuration. If you like the way it's set up now, then you would check that checkbox. If it's for a new user or a student, you might want to uncheck it, because then it won't be maybe speaking as fast as you have it, or the welcome dialog box isn't displaying on yours, but maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to have it display on theirs. The last checkbox is start the new portable copy after creation. That means that as soon as you finish making it, it'll start the portable copy and shut down the copy that is installed on your machine. So if you create that portable copy and you want it to start right away so that you can kind of explore it and take a look at how the settings are, then you can do that. Otherwise, keep it unchecked. And then you're going to navigate to continue. And then it'll run you through all of the steps. To load the portable copy, every computer is just a little bit different. So some of these directions may vary, and you might need to experiment just a little bit. Sometimes you'd want to even turn on narrator so you can turn on NVDA and then turn narrator off. I've heard people do that. I don't really know that you would want to do that, but I've heard that people do it. I can't imagine it would be anything other than a complete headache. When you insert your flash drive and you want to turn on your portable NVDA, Windows Explorer should launch, and it'll show the files that are on the drive that you inserted. You're going to press N one time and then press Enter. This should launch NVDA. After you insert your USB for the first time, and especially if you can't see the screen at all, I would give it like 30 seconds and allow that that Windows Explorer pane to show up in the foreground, and make sure that your cursor is focused there, and then press N and then press enter. But all of these files, there are a lot of files here that are visible in the screenshot. They are all necessary, so don't just think, oh, I'm just going to take the NVDA and leave that and take the rest off. Oh, no, then it won't work. Getting help. It's important to get help. We've talked a little bit about this. NVDA +1 again is the input help mode. And to launch the help options, you can use NVDA +N, H for help, and then use the down arrows and up arrows to navigate. Each option will open in a new tab. And we talked about that the command quick reference will show up in a web page. To navigate to the user guide and quick command summary, you're going to use the NVDA reading commands as well as table navigation, because when they open up in that other browser tab, you're going to want to be able to navigate them. So these are the commands that you would use. You would hit T to move to the next table if you're in if you've realized that you're in an area that you don't need. Alt Control and up and down arrows move up and down by row. Alt and Control right and left arrows move left and right by column. So that's how you navigate within the table. It's pretty easy actually compared to some of the ways that JAWS works. I will say that NVDA in tables isn't quite as comprehensive as JAWS, but frankly it gets the job done. Here's some important commands for you to know, and we've talked about this one already. The modifier key or NVDA key is the insert, and the caps lock key can also be used. It's that option we looked at earlier. You can choose among changing speaking rate, pitch, volume, and synthesizer voice using a shortcut command. You do not have to go to the settings. I know, why didn't I tell you that earlier? You can do insert plus control plus right or left arrow, and that will allow you to pick rate, pitch, volume, or synthesizer. And to increase or decrease the selected option, you're going to do insert control up and down arrows. So you can increase the pitch, the rate, the volume, and choose among synthesizer voices. And for an example, I gave you one. To change the speaking rate, first press insert plus control plus right or left arrow until you hear speaking rate. Then to increase it, keep your fingers pushed on that insert and control, and just use your up and down arrows to increase or decrease the speech. Speaking typed characters on and off is the insert and the number 2. Speaking typed words on and off, insert +3. Speak command keys on and off was insert +4. And we've also mentioned exiting NVDA is insert +Q. To change the punctuation, you can do insert +P, and that also will navigate you among the punctuation options. Mouse tracking, by the way, if you're using your mouse, if you have some vision and are choosing to use your mouse to help you out a little bit, and you realize that it reads everything underneath it, and you find that annoying, you can turn that off by using insert +M. Or if you find it helpful, you can turn it on the same way. Let's go back to volume control. This is probably one of the most important things that people need help with, and it's something we went over with JAWS too. So to adjust your volume with NVDA, you go to the system tray where your volume icon is located with a Windows B to bring focus to the system tray. Use your right and left arrows to locate your volume control. You'll probably hear NVDA announce a percentage, which indicates the percentage that your volume is set at currently. And then you're going to press enter on that to open up this bottom visual here that will show you, to use the enter key or the arrow keys to adjust the volume, and then press enter when you're ready. It's a little bit less complex than JAWS just because it does not open a dialog box. Okay, that pretty much covers everything. So I hope you come on Thursday with some questions, and I'll see you then.